conflicts will arise, and defamation of character, propaganda campaigns. We have to have an establishment tool to use to combat the noise that will come at us. And I'm trying to avoid having to deal with any type of financial structure for a legal team. What I'd like is a reserve of people that have legal experience that would be willing to donate their time for any specific issue that might come up. I'm going to leave it at that because it's an ongoing development, but it has something that we've talked about in the past, and unfortunately, I think will come up in the future. So, they'll leave it at that. Sixth team I'd like to mention is simply the web admin team. These are the people that work behind the scenes to make sure the websites are working up to date. And the moderators, of course, that work the forums, and anything that's admin related, moderation or web. This is basically a back-end team. While you can email the web administrator for any specific issues, this isn't exactly a forward team. So if you do have strong web capacities, frankly, I think you would join the developers team but in the event we have to solicit for help for moderators or the admin team, then you'll hear about that. But nevertheless, that's a team that exists, even though it isn't something that's directly active. It's a very sensitive issue for administration on the website because there's security access to all of our databases, so we can't just hand that out to anybody that joins the team, obviously. And moderators, of course, have to be filtered. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. Of course, we have the chapters team. This would be, I guess, our 7th team, or our 8th team. And the chapters team, of course, is really just the coordinators of the entire chapters relationship. So the coordinators I spoke about earlier comprise the chapters team, and that's more or less an abstract team as well, but there is a need for mailing lists and communication amongst all coordinators, regardless of what level of the tier structure that you are on. Then we have the technology team, which is going to be headed by Douglas Mallet. I'm going to have to laugh at myself when I finally realize how to pronunciate the last name. I believe it's Mallet, but I want to say Mallet and give it a nice French twang to it. It's just like when I say Jacques Fresco has a nice quality as opposed to Jacques Fresco. Anyway, ignore me. Technology team. This is going to be a developing team, and this could be very, very relevant as we get from Earth to Venus going, which is a back burner project that we've been dealing with for a long time. Essentially, right now, the technology team, and we're going to create a whole section on the website for this, probably its own tab, is simply to explore and to document the advanced technologies that we have. So this team, once we get it going, will be a submission, and the forum has been utilized in certain capacity because we have a technology section, but a submission of anything anyone finds regarding new technology that relates to social concern. So any advanced agriculture, any advanced energy concepts. It's a hub for just any new stuff that you hear about. And this is great because we need a database of this stuff. This is where things begin and originate, and then we can compile where we are at this stage as far as scientific progress and possibility. And there's always something new coming out almost every day within the technological field, and many of them go unnoticed because they can't be, quote, financed. There's no investment, and often they're too sustainable to be of any interest to the corporate structure as it exists. So anyway, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 chapters, 9 teams as of now, which can be referenced. The relationship of the teams, as I mentioned, some of them are just mailing lists to be updated about, some of them are actual joins, and some of them are by appointment only. And that's that for teams. All right, let's see. We covered the chapters, we covered the nature of coordinators and members. We also covered the new teams, and their development will be posted on the projects page. The chapters site, zmchapters.com, will be updated fairly soon. A summary of the following structure with a little bit more detail will be presented in the knowledge base. As far as future projects, I talked about a few things with that. I'm going to end with talking about member psychology for a second. Naturally, as people come into the movement, they're coming from very diverse backgrounds. We have... Well, I'm not even going to go through the general paths that I've recognized, but it's actually a very good thing. We have people of all nationalities. We have people of all ages. I met someone recently, an 11-year-old, who was involved in the movement, and it really kind of blew my mind. And the diversity is wonderful, but that's really kind of an aside. What I want to talk about is the way people generally approach the movement and how they think about the movement. I've talked about this before, but it's worth reiterating. You don't have to spend 12 hours a day, as I do, doing work with the movement or movement-related materials. Not everyone has the time to do that. Obviously, we live in a culture where time is money. And it's just the very nature of the system, and all of us have to play the game in some capacity. That is the way it is. And you can't just forego the real world that you see around you because of this aspiration we have. So you have to be practical and responsible. Simultaneously, you need to make the movement a part of your daily routine, a part of your life. You need to be active with it in even a passive way if you don't have the time to do anything else. If you're on your way to work, perhaps you have some discs of the orientation video that you might just leave, say, I don't know, at a coffee shop where you get your coffee, or some pamphlets. Anything that you can think of in a casual sense. Again, it's holographic. If everyone out there did something, a little bit of something every day or every week, whatever you can do, you'd be amazed at the effect that this can take, especially as we grow larger. And on the other side of the spectrum, I meet some people that are far too extreme, that say how they've stopped paying their credit cards, and they've basically rejecting the system in a very personal sense, and I would say a very irresponsible sense from the sort of temporal longevity that I see within the system. Obviously, if you're incapacitated, if you're in an upside-down mortgage, if you're in a great deal of debt, well, then it's an unfortunate reality, and you're an unfortunate victim of this society in many ways. But don't disregard your responsibility to the current system as an individual and think that it's just going to magically, you're going to be magically saved by the zeitgeist movement, or a resource-based economy is just going to pop up tomorrow. We all know that that's not going to happen. This change can happen very rapidly, but we have a lot of work to do on the culture before anyone will even consider what we're talking about, because it's so profoundly foreign to them. And in the end, back to the activist notion, single individual rejection is not going to be as effective as group rejection, which is why the critical mass is so important, which is why I think in time we will be able to facilitate the transition and guide it away from the severe bottom of collapse and into a new system by group pressure. As a very simple example, if 50% of the United States population decided not to pay income taxes, do you think the U.S. government is going to prosecute that many millions of people? No. They run away with their tail underneath their legs. Critical mass is all we can depend on and hope for. This is the method. The idea of getting to a leader is always there, and we will always try to get to any leader that wants to initiate this and to go from a top down. But the probability of that happening, in my analysis, is very, very slim, until maybe the breakdown makes it to a point where the leader can help out. But once again, even if a country was to do this, they're going to be susceptible of the breakdown from the countries around them. So we have this global relevance to the problems and, to the solution that we provide. So anyway, I won't belabor it, and I'm going to end this program now, and I'll see you guys next week for really the beginning of the lecture series, because this is more of just a review of the procedures and internal processes, etc., which will regard the dynamics of a resource-based economy. Okay, everybody take care.